The last thing that I would want to be is entertaining. That's not why I'm in performance. I'm in performance to share experiences in a very genuine, intuitive, honest way, and to be able to talk about issues through the work. My name is Lenora Lee, and I am a dancer, choreographer, and artistic director of Lenora Lee Dance. I am a native San Franciscan, and I grew up here. I started dance classes when I was 4 years old until I was 10. And during that period of time, I studied ballet, tap, and jazz in a very informal type of way. And I really fell in love with modern dance, improvisation, and composition because I felt like the exercises and the movements that we were doing were providing me an avenue to be able to communicate about experiences, life, the way I felt, challenges and struggles that I was dealing with. Since 2010, we've really been creating pieces that integrate dance, martial arts, video projection, text, and music. We share through the dance, through our movement, through the text, and through the video, and layer one upon the other so that it's really about creating this environment and this world for people.
Our dreams. We can stand at the edge of hope, looking back at this place in time, looking back at this moment in time.
For the most recent works, I started to do research in San Francisco, Chinatown at an organization called Donaldina Cameron House. Fortunately, I was allowed access into their archives to take a look at these historical documents. And they were documents from young women and girls who had been brought to the United States, were forced into domestic servitude, and some were forced into prostitution. And I put together kind of a collage of stories and experiences. And that's how I created the characters and the scenarios and the scenes that are played out.
The lady took me to see a man. I had to cook and clean for him all these years. Now I am sold again to another man, and people call me a 100 men's wife.
So when we started these projects, I had various situations and scenarios in my mind, but I also brought them to the dancers that I was working with. And I asked the dancers to write about their own experiences of injustice, their own experiences of loss and of seeking beauty, seeking hope and transformation, and asked them to write about them. So we actually use that as a foundation to generate movement. I give them the freedom to create whatever gestures and movement that they like. And then I really take the liberty on how we utilize that movement material. So it's basically like they create the vocabulary and I form the sentences. Wipe the tears. Left, right. We are portraying a community when we're out there. There's 10 of us, on stage, and it's really about community and individuality at the same time. I think sometimes I've focused on aspects of the work that are taboo to talk about, or maybe taboo to talk about outside of the family, or taboo to talk about outside of the community. I've taken some risks, and I feel that people have appreciated the risk-taking along the way. I don't consider myself an activist. It's interesting when people consider the work that way. because I feel like my responsibility really is to make the artwork. I demonstrate through the art what I feel is most compelling or most engaging about these experiences.